returned to the House. Reacting to the comments, Chairman of the Finance Committee, Dr. Mark Esibeyeboa, whose committee worked on the agreement, said the special prosecutor's work can best be described as a sloppy job.
He came to Parliament gathering our reports and the work he's done as if he's going behind us to get some information. How nobody sits in the Finance Committee meetings, okay? So who best to speak to when you want to know what has transpired at the Finance Committee? This is work that started in 2018 on the passage of the Minerals Income Investment Fund law, subsequently its amendment, then these agreements. These have been the committee for the better part of 2 years. And so for him to suggest that he doesn't think that the committee did a thorough job scrutinizing these, maybe he doesn't appreciate numbers.
Minority Leader Harun Idrisu said the minority will not change its position on the agreement if the Minister of Finance presents the agreement back to the House.
You want to take gold revenue for the next 10, 15 years. What does that mean to the state? What does it mean to chiefs and people who earn a portion of the Mineral Development Fund? Government ministers were joking and reduced that transaction to a trifle.
So be your further call. Are you calling for it to be totally scrapped, suspended? What is your call as a minority leader?
The minority is not likely to change its position on Agyapa. We don't support it today. We don't support it tomorrow. We don't support it into the future.
But the majority leader, Mensah, insists the minority's position is preposterous.
In cracks of Harun's intervention was that they didn't have time and that they were giving only 4 hours, which he knows between him and his God was a palpable untruth. On 2 days at least, we had to tarry because he was going up north. And he pleaded with me that we should hold on until he returned. And we did so. So for him to say that we had only 4 hours, to me, I think Parliament doesn't work that way. Playing to the gallery that way doesn't help anybody.
In December 2018, Parliament approved a $100 million contract agreement for the engineering, procurement, installation, and commissioning of the Accra Traffic Intelligent Management Project between government and the Beijing Everyway Traffic Lighting Company. Addressing the press on Friday, ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, Governs Abuja, said the new agreement being considered by the Defense and Interior Committee is improper.
What has the synchronization of traffic in Accra got to do with national security? Indeed, when they came to Parliament, they told us they were going to build a control room. And that control room, national security, MTTD, and everybody have access to that control room. So there's no question as to whether national security can have access to that control room. We have no interest in the turf war at Flagstaff House. But as Parliament, we must be sure that when we are approving loans, we are doing the right thing. We feel currently, like my senior colleague said, if we approve this agreement, we may be setting the country up for judgment debt sooner or later.
But Chairman of the committee, Samuel Aipe, disagrees.
A ranking member of the committee raised an issue that need a referral to the Accra Intelligent Traffic Unit. And he, in a response by the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Edu, explained vividly through that that's what informed cabinet decision to rather take the project from the Roads and Highways to national security to control. That one will actually, that explanation could only be given by either Minister for Roads and Highways or the National Security Minister.
So the interesting sides of what transpired in Parliament, the major issues captured there in the recap segment of this program for you. Another thing that is worth noting is the fact that the Job 600 Annex complex was also inaugurated this week by Parliament. Our cameras were there, but it was also captured as part of our news, but not for this program, The Chamber. For now, though, we'll take a break. When I'm back, we'll delve into the other issues on this program.
about to change your Sunday night for the better.
The reality is after school in Ghana,
You're on your own.
you're on your own. Where are you going? The job that you are getting, you can't afford your transportation. You have to pick your trotro.
Rent.
No matter how rich you,
You
are.
have to go to the salon.
Yes.
You have to go to your salon. Like, no matter how rich you are, unless your parents are buying your car, everything, right after school, life hits you hard.
Really hard. We will bring you the most captivating guests and explore the most amazing stories.
It was petrifying, terrifying than what you people saw on camera, because I think the video was about, I can't remember, 8 or 6 minutes. The whole incident was about 2 hours. So Agyapa was chased out of my neighborhood by my neighbors with cutlass.
They came to your house?
So he marched me outside.
Naked?
Naked.
We will dazzle you with real-life situations and examine mind-blowing topics.
To take us down, do that. So, yeah. Oh, nice one.
Oh, nah, this looks good on me, you know that? I feel like it looks good. I love it together.
Ezra chapter 2, verse 12. The children of Agyapa, 1,222.
Join me, Frema Binyami,
And me, Ato Kwamna, every Sunday at 7 p.m. on Citi TV. Are you ready?
Upside Down, every Sunday, 7 p.m. only on Citi TV.
Citi TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
Hello and welcome back from the break. This is the From the Floor segment. This week on the From the Floor segment, there are very interesting offerings we are bringing to you. First is an interview with the chairman of the Finance Committee of the House with regards to the work that they have done over the period, this 6-week period on the budget, but specifically on the Agyapa royalties agreement, which has become a matter of wide public discussion and of interest this week because of the release of the corruption risk assessment by the Special Prosecutor Martin Amido. We have an interesting interview with him to explain the issues regarding what the work that was done by the committee with regards to these 5 agreements that has become a matter of national discussion. We also have a reaction from a member of the committee, John Jinapo, who was very vociferous on the night with regards to the debate on this Agyapa royalties agreement when the matter came up for discussion in Parliament in August this year. And the much anticipated interaction between the Electoral Commission chairperson and members of Parliament. We have all of that curated for you on the From the Floor segment this week. Hello and welcome to the From the Floor segment on the chamber right here on Citi TV. Today I'm talking to the chairman of the Finance Committee of the House, Dr. Mark Esibe-Aboa, on matters relating to the Agyapa royalties agreement and other related issues. You're welcome, Chairman.
Thank you.
Now, on the 14th of August, my memory serves me right, the House approved the Agyapa royalties agreement, 5 agreements. Yes. Assignment agreement, allocation agreement, relationship agreement, mandate agreement, 5 of them. On the night the debate was very, very heated. The minority ended up walking out on on essentially the debate and then stating that they were not going to be part of the agreement. First question to you, Chairman of the committee, give us an inkling of what the discussions were before this agreement was brought onto the floor of Parliament?
So a little background. In the 2018 budget, which was presented in November 2017, the ministry had already indicated in the budget of 2018 presented in November 2017 that this was the thinking, that we want to monetize our gold royalties. And how were we going to do this? So there was some back and forth, and eventually the AGs advised that the ministry comes by way of a bill. So 2018, a bill was introduced in Parliament, the Minerals Income Investment Fund Bill, to set up the Minerals Income Investment Fund. And so you note then that as of 2018, the thinking was we are going to monetize our gold royalties. So the bill made provisions for the setting up of an SPV and all the other incidentals. These agreements you talked about, allocation agreements, mandate agreements, all of these were all fleshed out in the bill. Now, because this is a novelty, if you like, when the bill had been passed and then assented it to, the act came into force, then the ministry kept on running into difficulties because this vehicle, the SPV, was to be listed on the London Stock Exchange. And so they found the need to come back with an amendment to the act, which came in 2020. So all of these have been coming to the Finance Committee and by extension Parliament. So we revised the act, the Minerals Income Investment Fund Act, as amended. All of these have been done. Then the last leg before you list on the London Stock Exchange and subsequently the Ghana Stock Exchange will be those agreements that had to be approved. So it's not as though those agreements were foisted on us in the last minute and then we didn't do a thorough job. We had gone through all these motions, and that was the last leg in the sequence of events.
But the question then will be asked that why was it characterized with so much acrimony on the night in terms of the arguments? It got heated. Some even say it got trivialized because of how the arguments went. Now the special prosecutor bringing in the latest indication or the latest part of this whole agreement that has been unfolding in his corruption risk assessment, he makes the case that Parliament probably didn't do the right job in terms of scrutinizing the agreement and the volume of documents and the agreement in its entirety before appending its signature, for want of a better word, or signing of these agreements. What's your response to that?
So Parliament, going back to 2018 when we crafted the bills, put the bills together, the amendment bills, the president composing a board of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, all the other things that have been done, setting up of the special purpose vehicle, all of these come to add up before getting to the last point. He says in his estimation, Parliament didn't do a thorough job. He, in a matter of 1 month, has gone through all the documents, including the bills that we had been working on since 2018, and is he suggesting to me that he has done a thorough job? I am chairman of the Finance Committee. He's passing verdict on us. The work that he did recently, he didn't even consult me. He took our report and has torn it apart, okay? Did he consult me as his job he's just done will be the sloppiest, okay?
He says that is his acting in his capacity as, of his mandate as a corruption special prosecutor.
The approvals we give, we did that in our mandate as the Finance Committee and by extension Parliament. Has he seen any wrongdoing? The only thing he's saying is that he doesn't think we did a thorough job. Maybe he doesn't understand numbers, and so it takes him a whole lot of time to digest some of these. But as far as I'm concerned, the work that we have done at the Finance Committee, not only on this agreements that we've considered, we by and large have done a very good job. It is the Finance Committee that has rejected things that have come from government. We rejected Ameri, okay? Ameri, yes, we rejected it. So to suggest that we haven't done a thorough job because the agreements came within a short period. He has to avert his mind to when the whole process started. Then he would appreciate what we do over here.
You are questioning how thorough the job that the special prosecutor did is with regards to this corruption risk assessment. To say that without, equivocal or without any shred of doubt or any fear of whatever he has to say.
Fear of what? He did a sloppy job to the extent that he didn't contact even me, the chairman of the finance committee. You are reviewing the whole processes. The finance committee is a key element. You have even pronounced on the work done by the finance committee, and me as chairman, you didn't even find it necessary to speak to me about all these processes that have gone on. This is sloppy work.
He speaks about the lack of consultation also on the part of government, on the part of the Ministry of Finance, on the part of, in terms of the pride of place this agreement holds because of its link to our natural resources, and the fact that gold was going to be monetized, and that the consultation process was not broad enough in terms of consulting the House of Chiefs and other interested groups before the agreement was passed on the floor of Parliament. It looks like all of these, discussions and consultations were done after it was passed in August.
And would that nullify the agreements? That who estimates that sufficient consultation was done? In his estimation, he thinks that sufficient consultation was not done. A bill that was passed in 2018 came into effect 2019, which has set up the Minerals Income Investment Fund. Now royalties are paid to the fund. The stool lands receive their components. The Minerals Development Fund receives its component. Everything is working. Okay, until now. We set up an SPV and we are ready to list on the stock market. Parliament has to approve the last set of agreements. Suddenly, we haven't done extensive consultation. I don't think so. In any event, that is not what the Constitution requires of government. Okay, that's why we go for elections. When you go for elections, you win the mandate of the people to roll out your policies and programs. You cannot build consensus around everything before you get it done.
That's the ideal. That's what people look forward to having our parliament agreeing on most of these important decisions. The jury out there most of the time from civil society groups and the citizenry is that our parliament sometimes make decisions without consensus and also in a haste, if for want of a better word. This is something that you obviously disagree with. What's your response to that?
No, I have chaired the Finance Committee in the last 4 years, if you like, and the work that we have done, we've presented it to the floor. And when reports are taken on the floor, the scrutiny over there, in all instances, I've made sure that our reports are good, and the work that we do, our committee, is thorough so that nobody embarrasses me. And the work that we did in all of this passage of the Act, the amendment, one, and then the agreements, everything relating to this monetization of our royalties, I'm proud of it.
He mentions, final question on that, he mentions that the possibility of bid rigging in the bringing in the transaction advisors from South Africa, Imara TA, and mentions the link with Data Bank, among others. This is one of the issues that he finds, problematic with the agreement. Is there any justification for that?
Then once again, he's unable to establish any graft or any wrongdoing.
Okay. Just conflict of interest, possibility.
In the now he goes back to say that the Deputy Minister for Finance, Honorable Charles Edubwa, should not have been the one signing the mandate agreement, but the Chief Director. He should avert his mind to the Public Financial Manager. The Chief Director is a spending officer. Wouldn't it, if it's even conflict, if the Chief Director should sign the mandate agreement and also be the spending officer? That would be problematic. In all the agreements that come to Parliament, they are signed by ministers. So if there's a mandate agreement and the Deputy Minister has the authority of the Minister for Finance to sign, who else should sign? So the mandate agreement signed by the Deputy Minister for Finance is not in error. The Chief Director is the spending officer. Having signed the mandate agreement and having chosen Imara / Data Bank as the transaction advisors, when their bills come due, then the chief director, the spending officer, will be doing the payments.
In that regard, he raises the issue about it not receiving parliamentary approval, because in his estimation that qualifies as an international transaction that should have been brought back to Parliament for ratification, which was not done in that case.
You see, he's all over the place, okay, on a fishing expedition, trying to look for wrongdoing when none exists. This transaction, these transaction advisors that we choose never come to Parliament. As a matter of fact, in this Eurobond, sovereign bond issuance that we seek to do in 2021, which has just been approved by Parliament, there will be transaction advisors. You go to PPA, the Public Procurement Authority, and they oversaw all of what happened in choosing the transaction. That is why it's a requirement that whoever was going to be the TA should have a local partner, which in this case was Data Bank. He even talks about payments in dollars to the Imara, and then there is no evidence of. Now, if there's a partnership, you and I in a partnership, and then we sign an agreement, and then payments are made to you, should I also detail the outflow back to me? All of these, I'm saying he's all over. He's all over, and he's growing still. Matamidu is growing still, because he talks about John
bid rigging. Even with the PPE agreement, he says it amounts to bid rigging.
There were 8. Yeah, let me tell you, and the beauty of all of this is that the 8 have been listed. So you go back and ask Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, you go to Goldman Sachs. All of these have been listed. Did you submit bids? They shortlisted to 2, and they said they shortlisted Morgan Stanley and Imara. And then eventually they chose one. Where is the bid rigging? Why is he crying more than the bereaved? Is Morgan Stanley complaining of bid rigging? What is this? This is the same person who says John Mahama is government official 1, but because of the elections, it is imprudent to go after him. What kind of
well, maybe for public policy considerations and reasons at this time?
Law is that he told us that as vice president, President Mills told him to investigate John Mahama. Even when the man was vice president, you had the mandate and authority to investigate him. Now he's a presidential candidate, and you are saying that it is imprudent in an election year. He's going still. His law is going still, because I don't see the basis for saying that. So if tomorrow he murdered someone and he's presidential candidate, it would be imprudent to go after him because of the elections. Is that what he's suggesting?
Okay, so you obviously think that Parliament did its work, it's been scrutinized. There is the further direction from the President that it should be brought back to Parliament for necessary correction to be done. Is it a good call? What would be your thoughts on that call? From the President.
Whenever there are referrals to Parliament, by extension the Finance Committee, there is an action required. So which action was required in the last instance has been executed. So if there's a fresh referral to Parliament, we would have to look at the action required. Is it to review the work we did earlier, or is there new information available for which a new approval has to be given? These have to be spelled out clearly, because we don't work in a vacuum. So if indeed it is the case that the government is coming back with a fresh request, then we'll look at it as and when it comes in.
Okay. Final issue, five minutes. You've chaired the Finance Committee. You have done a very job that many people commend as chairman of the Finance Committee. You've been in the House for quite some time now. What are the most memorable bills that you've worked on?
Bills? We've done quite a few. We've worked on bills for the Central Bank, the Bank of Ghana. The ministry has, including even this MIF, a number of loan agreements. So primarily, our work centers around the bills that we pass, and in the time that I've been chairman, we've done the SIGA, State Interest and Governance Act. I think that was a very good one, which now brings all the state-owned enterprises under one umbrella for good corporate governance. I think if we pay attention to that one, it should help take away some of the inefficiencies in some of these SOEs. We've done the Development Finance Institutions bill for the Bank of Ghana. I regret us working on the use of electronic device. This was GRA was supposed to use this one to digitize their VAT collections and the rest, but these ones have not been operationalized. Loan agreements, quite a number. We've seen the Bui one, the bridge up north, the dam. Pualugu, which also went through the same motions, only for it to come back. And this time around, we saw the minority happily endorsing it without any objection. You'll recall that in that instance too, they said, "Oh, the finance committee didn't do its job well, the scrutiny." It came back and nothing changed. And so if I'm guided by the Pualugu one, I think what we are talking about now amounts to much ado about nothing. But yeah, we've done a lot of work in this last 4 years. I still have about 5 bills that I need to get through the House before the end of the term of the 7th Parliament. And I think we'll get some of it done. But I'm sure whatever remains in the 8th Parliament, they'll continue from where we left. We'll leave it.
Has been laid on the floor. No report has been referred to the Finance Committee. And so, following the announcement that the President was referring the Agyapa agreement to Parliament, I just want to announce that nothing has been laid yet, and to also inform you that by tomorrow or the day after, the minority would issue its formal position on the Agyapa deal. And so we should be expecting to hear from the minority either tomorrow or tomorrow next. But just to say that we do not believe that the right forum to address the challenges and the issues the Special Prosecutor has raised is the floor of Parliament. The Special Prosecutor has raised issues that confirms the issues that we've raised long since. The issue of corruption, the issue of sidestepping procedural processes, including procurement processes, the issue of conflict of interest, and the issue of possible corruption. And so Parliament is not a body that deals with procurement. Our role is to validate or ratify agreements. And so if there are serious infractions with procurement, it's only proper that they withdraw the deal and ensure that we start with the whole process. Other than that, let me just say that that agreement should be considered dead on arrival in Parliament. If the whole thing is to seek consensus, we have just 4 days to rise. You haven't laid it yet, and you think that if you lay it today or tomorrow, you railroad through and push us. No. We believe that civil society, the media, all the stakeholders ought to be involved in this all-important assignment. We also believe that there should be a proper valuation of the company, that is the SPV, so that we know the true value of it even before we proceed. More importantly, the underwriters and the transaction advisors should be recruited through a transparent process. As it stands, the underwriters and the advisors were procured through a dubious and flawed means. And the minority certainly will not be part of a dubious and flawed means. Let me just state on authority that under the leadership of the Venerable Honorable Haruna Idrisu, our minority leader would insist and ensure that the right thing is done. Already the minority leader, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, has sent a signal that will not condone any underhand dealings, will not be part of any fishy deal, will not be part of any opaque agreement, and that we would insist that the right thing is done and that the state, the interest of Ghana, is served on a lot of the issues that the Special Prosecutor has confirmed. What the Special Prosecutor has done is to only confirm the long-standing issues that we have raised. But this also goes to Parliament, that when such agreements are brought, there is no need to rush them through. You cannot rush such an important agreement through within 24 hours. And we insisted that they should take their time so they'll do the right thing. But the majority thought that they had the numbers. And today, look at the embarrassment that we are faced with. This embarrassment is of monumental proportion. It embarrasses all Ghanaians. And so, irrespective of what the committee chairman says, I rather think that he should take a deep introspection and look at how he handles some of these issues, because it goes to the core of Parliament. And it's not about rubbishing what the Special Prosecutor has done or confirming what the Special Prosecutor has done. All these issues were raised right on the floor of Parliament. They were raised at the committee level. And so most of the things he said only goes to confirm the issues that we raised. We've raised legitimate issues. Have you valued the SPV? What is the actual value? Have you valued our mineral resources? What is the actual value? in procuring the transaction advisor, did you go through a competitive tendering process? Why did you smuggle data bank through the back door to be part of the agreement? If you cede 4% of a potential 2 billion to one company, that's a huge amount. It's marks of conflict of interest. There is an element of corruption. There's an element of underhand dealings. That is what we are concentrating on. We are not really so much fixated with what the special prosecutor has done. We are equally capable of conducting our own investigations. We are capable of assessing the documents, and that is what we did. So with or without the special prosecutor, the position of the minority stands. The position of the minority is cogent. The position of the minority is sound, and we will stay by that position and ensure that the resources of this country is safeguarded and to ensure that the right thing is done. That is the point of the minority. The agreement, in the state and format in which it is, Parliament must not approve it. There are fundamental issues with procurement. There are fundamental issues with valuing the firm. So if you present the same document in the format that it is, consider it dead on arrival, because the minority will not be part of an illegality, will not be part of a flawed process. The president is only trying to use the back door, to use Parliament to kind of whitewash a very dirty deal. And we would not be used as a laundry system to whitewash a dirty deal.
My first question is to ask whether manual verification will be tolerated on December 7th. My second is Zabzugu 435 by a court order, whether she accepts that the court indicted the Electoral Commission when the court in its ruling in the High Court stated that the District Electoral Review Committee, which ought to have been constituted by the Electoral Commission, was not properly constituted. My third question is, if you have facial recognition software properly installed, how come you have non-unique individuals on the electoral roll? How come you have facial recognition and you have non-unique individuals on your electoral roll? If your facial recognition software is working, how come you have in the region of 18,000 non-unique individuals on a register which is purported to have facial recognition on it? Then, Mr. Speaker, we want to know what the distribution of the BVDs will be. We've gone past BVR, so BVDs, what will be the nature of the distribution? Now, my other question, when the IGP appeared before this House, it was in one of his slides that for Ashanti region, there will be 5,884 polling stations. Greater Accra was 5,400. We're saying that given the relative regional population on the register, what accounted for the discrepancy? Because for all we read, Greater Accra has a more density in terms of voter population than any other region in Ghana.
In respect of the procurement of the biometric registration equipment and biometric verification equipment, even though these ones have been procured recently, are much more robust and, the Speaker, newer than the older ones. Is he in the position to tell us the savings that they've made? Speaker, second, the procurement of indelible is something that we have always had problems with. Can we know the source of these procurements? Previously, they have been procuring from India, and yet when they came here, we saw that they were not as indelible as we were told. Can you assure us, first, the source of procurement, and then provide some assurance that these ones that are being procured are going to be really indelible. Speaker, the register, the date of certification of the registers. Can we be told of the date of the certification of the registers? And not to repeat what the minority leader asked about when indeed they are going to be transmitted to the political parties and all other stakeholders. And in the process, can you tell us what has been happening in the past? What has been happening in the past, the date of the certification of the registers and the date of transmission of these registers to political parties?
Our voters register has been placed on the website of the Electoral Commission. For the first time in the Commission's history, we met with stakeholders who had applied for the special voters, the window, I think on Tuesday, and we provided them with the soft copies of the register on pen drives to enable them advertise same on their platforms. And so that list has been made available to the various categories, the military agencies, the Ghana Police Service, the media, and so on and so forth. But the list is on our website as well. I'm happy to note that the soft copies of the register, and I did mention that the parties were written to and asked to bring their equipment to enable us put the register on there, and I'm happy to note that that process, the parties have picked up their register today. This afternoon, I think we've checked, and we have been informed that some of them have come and picked up the soft copies of their register. I think we also had the question of the number of polling stations, and I did mention that we have 38,622 polling stations. The threshold has been set at 749. However, some 70% of these polling stations have a voter population of 500 or less, but the threshold is 749. And it's important to emphasize that our register only contains unique individuals. I think the question was raised also about foreigners on the roll. I think to the best of our knowledge, with the help of the citizenry, we can confidently say that our register does not contain foreigners. If it comes to the attention of the Commission that there are foreigners on there, I think the proper agencies will be noted, and steps will be taken, and once it is proved that those persons are foreigners, we will take steps to ensure that they do not vote. With the issue of manual verification, we did mention, I think it was a point that I missed in my presentation, that to date, we do have on the register, please permit me, we have a total of 17,029,971 eligible unique voters on the register. Of this number, we have some 547 who we have put on a list we call the deficit. These are persons who registered, but for some reason have not been reflected in the register. What we did was to drill down and do a thorough analysis of the end-of-day reports vis-à-vis the registers per district, per polling station and per district. And we found that there were a number of persons who had registered but were not on the register. They were captured in our end-of-day reports, but for some reason their details were missing on the register. So we drilled down and we have identified all of them. And so we are going to bring out a list per polling station, per region, per district and polling stations of this 500 plus persons who registered but are not on the register. Their names are going to be captured, their addresses, and we are going to put that out in the newspapers so that if people know them, they would be able to, because we've tried to reach out to them using local media through telephone calls, because some of them have their numbers there. For some reason, for some of them, we have not been successful because they do not have telephone numbers. What the Commission is doing, however, is that those persons will not be disenfranchised. What we are doing is to send their names to the polling stations where they voted, to ensure that their Form 1A and Form 1C, the source documents that they use to register, are sent to those polling stations. And so if those people come to the centers, they would be allowed to vote.
So you heard there the various arguments, especially, and questions from the members to the Electoral Commission chairperson with regards to the state of preparedness for election 2020. We'll take a break here. When I come back, I'll tell you what I think about the major issues in Parliament this week.
On the 7th of December, you will be going to the polls to elect a member of parliament. How well do you know your constituency?
We take a visit to the Awutu Senya East constituency of the Central region. We are coming to you from the Ishayaso constituency in the Ashanti region. I'm still in the Aswanse constituency.
Political parties will be campaigning for your vote.
We have done almost about 80 to 90 different projects across the country.
There is no single school under any electoral area that has not seen the development of Honorable Mensah.
But as a constituent, what will inform your choice of a candidate to represent you in Parliament?
My party is my community. What program are you bringing in to solve the problem of my community?
Be involved in what concerns you. My name is Preparedness. Join me on the constituency for all you need to know concerning your socio-economic development. The constituency airs on Citi TV Mondays to Thursdays at 5:30 p.m.
Hello and welcome back from the break. This is Duke's View. This week I start off by commending the leadership of Parliament and government, this administration and successive administrations. Finally this week the Job 600 Annex project was completed, which will provide office accommodation for over 50 MPs. And also it comes with other facilities, driver's lounge, new conference facilities and the rest. This is good. It's a good project. It's a legacy project by the administration in this house led by Professor Michael Quay. But the fact that it is a good project also means that the citizens for whom members of Parliament represent in this house must see the real benefits of the work that is being done by Parliament reflecting in their lives. So previously there were complaints that some members of Parliament do not have office accommodation, do not have the best of facilities, and because of that it encumbers or make their work cumbersome. Now a project has been delivered to the members to ensure that they have at least decent office accommodation, properly staffed with people who help them do the correct research to be able to make cogent and very, wonderful, well-researched arguments on the floor of the House during debates. But that must reflect, because the extent to which citizens benefit from the democratic dividend is largely hinged on the quality of work that is churned out from Parliament, if I may put it that way. That brings me to the second issue for discussion on the Duke's View segment, the matter of the Agyapa royalties agreement. The special prosecutor had cause to doubt the quality of work that has been done by Parliament because, according to him, the deal was rushed through. And this is a matter that we've had cause to talk about consistently on this platform. especially when Parliament is about to go on recess. So many agreements, tax waivers, loans are passed in a matter of hours. We are humans with a very finite attention span. How many people can do this work? Peruse, go through over 500 documents and be able to make meaningful arguments out of it and get it passed. If that should continue in this house, I know there are a lot of MPs who are not comfortable with this, they've spoken about it, but it's still a culture that festers. And that's how come some of these agreements that end up embarrassing Parliament goes. I'm not saying that Agyapa agreement has embarrassed Parliament. That's not in my place to say so. But it's been returned or it's been sent back to the House for members to look at it, even though it may not be done within the course of the short lifespan left, or the lame duck period for Parliament, or this 7th Parliament going into the 8th Parliament. The final issue I'll speak to is with regards to the upcoming elections. The Electoral Commission has briefed members, and by extension everybody in the country, about how prepared they are going into the polls. My advice or my opinion has got to do with citizens. I mean, in as much as members of Parliament vigorously debate issues on the floor of the House, and you may think that, oh, they are each other's throat and the rest, outside the chamber, most of them are the very best of friends. So when you go to cast your ballot on the day after you are done, don't foment any trouble or don't cause any trouble, because the people for whom you are voting for, most of them are friends, they are buddies anyway, most of them. For you to want to go and foment trouble for them, which would send this country into chaos or blow up the country, if the rising tensions from both political parties is anything to go by. That's what I would say with regards to the upcoming elections. The Electoral Commission, from what they've told Parliament, they are prepared. Police is prepared. NCC is prepared. Most of the organizations are prepared, even though they have other issues which they made known to Parliament, and we've seen them in the course of this program. But my admonition to all of us is that let us choose peace ahead of violence, and don't go and fight for any member of Parliament or parliamentary candidate or any presidential candidate, because at the end of the day, even though you may be ensuring that your vote or your ballot counts, it's not worth it fighting or resorting to violence to get your point across in terms of protecting the ballots. Otherwise, if this country blows up, most of them will be out in a minute. It's the citizens who do not have the means and the privileges to get out of the country who would be at the suffering, and who would receive the most, suffering out of any insecurity or instability that may arise. That's my view for the week. And that's how we wrap up this week's edition of The Chamber right here on Citi TV. Hopefully, the House comes back for the 8th Parliament beginning in January. But of course, anything can happen. After the election, Parliament can decide it will sit for some number of weeks to clear business which may be deemed necessary. But until then, this is how we end this meeting of Parliament and this program for this week. Thank you for doing the watching. Keep watching Citi TV. My name is Duke Mensah. Opoku. On this note, I say thank you to the crew and the directors and everybody who's been with us on the production of The Chamber for this meeting. Stay with Citi TV.
Election 2020, Ghana makes a choice. Tracking and bringing reports of the presidential and parliamentary campaigns across the length and breadth of this nation.
Analyzing campaign activities and election data with our panelists on the Voters' Diary.
The Voters' Diary is the most